You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Shawn Wilkie, and along with my awesome co-host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Ivan, please go ahead and get us started.
Hello, I'm Ivan Zach. I'm very excited to introduce a colleague of mine, Dr. Celine Leheurteux. Dr. Celine has been a veterinarian in practice in Quebec since 1999. Putting beloved pets in plastic bags after euthanasia was causing her stress and inner turmoil. She created EUTHABAG to help families and veterinary team feel better about euthanasia. Having suffered from a lack of education about end of life, she is also dedicated to training veterinary practices on this delicate topic, which is phenomenal. I'm very excited to talk about it. Dr. Celine, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the product itself. First of all, I think I do want to self-promote this study that we finished. This is the third year we're doing the burnout study. And one of the things that we found out is that I was questioning whether euthanasia causes burnout in veterinarians, and we didn't find the connection between the euthanasia itself to burnout, but we found out that the economic euthanasia, for the reasons when clients can't pay, actually significantly related to burnout in veterinarians. So just a little side note. So this is a delicate matter, especially difficult for the new grads. And how do you approach this? So how did you end up on the path of solving this problem? And it's a little bit of a darker topic of our profession.
Yeah, that's the question I get asked all the time, and it's just as they say, frustration is the mother of invention. It's just after doing it like thousands of times of just having to bag a beloved pet and just feeling that I was not coherent with my values and the level of care I was giving. It just added up, and then finally, one maternity leave gave me the opportunity to just take some time to think about how I would do that and just how I would do my job as a vet, trying to find a better option for my clients. And then so I looked around the whole planet to find a decent cadaver bag for pets and couldn't find anything. And I just couldn't believe it. That neither in Australia or Italy or Japan you could find something decent and something that was different from the garbage bag. Actually, I did find some options, but that were not designed by vets, so they were not, they didn't make sense. They were not opening on the right side, or they were leaking, or they were too fancy. I was just looking for medical supplies, something really basic to do the job. So that's how it happened.
It's so interesting, innovation's a funny thing, like first it happens gradually and then all of a sudden. So, you're surfing around the internet trying to find this, you realize it doesn't exist. And then how do you even start to produce or to create a company like this?
Well, first I was a little bit worried. I thought if somebody looks at my computer and finds out I've been looking for body bags for several nights in a row after my work shift, they're going to think I'm planning some kind of mass murder. But yeah, I was raised in a family where entrepreneurship was very much valued, and so I started selling ice cream when I was 11 at the local park, and then it was not in my nature to start with, but I started liking it after seeing that I could earn some pocket money and I could make people happy selling some refreshments. And then I looked, I couldn't find any option. I thought, this is what I'm going to do. Because I remember too, when I was little, I watched that movie. I think it was it Rain Man? It wasn't one of those classical movies where the guy said, I would just like to invent the 4-hole button and I would just make that. And then I would be the only one doing that. And I would solve problems and have my company. So it just, to me, that is the kind of product that I wanted to design, something that just made sense, nothing fancy, just something people needed and that they would stick to for a long time. And then I was very innocent in the process of deciding to start that business. Just like I compare it to having kids. Everybody tells you, oh, it's so hard, enjoy while you can the sleep, and you're going to see it's so challenging, and you're like, yeah, everybody does it. But so I just went into that. I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out. Just like a surgery, I don't know how to do it. I look up in a book and figure out how to do my first amputation. I'll figure out how to do marketing. I'll figure out everything. So it just went little by little. But at first, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And thank God, otherwise, I don't think I would have done it. And that's probably very common, right, in entrepreneurs.
Well, except for, the reasons why I look for it. I love that you said frustration creates innovation. I think that's how I created SmartFlow. But in Sean's case, he can't spell, so he really was solving a problem not for the world. He needs a dictating software, and had to build a company around it to actually to learn how to spell. So
It's frustration.
thanks,
You're
Sean.
same thing. I mean, there's a trend here. Frustration creates innovation.
So, can you tell us, for those that are not on your website yet, and by the way, how to get there? What does it look like? How is the youth bag different from what is used traditionally?
So it's really designed for veterinarians. So number one, it's leak proof, because that's a big problem in practice. If you remember, when we store these beloved pets, and there's fluid coming out from different places, so it's got to be leak proof. So that's what it is. It's laminated polypropylene. So basically, it's plastic and it's laminated, so it prevents body fluid leakage, and also it's resistant, because that's something we see in practice with these bags. They just tear with the weight, with the claws and everything, and it's just not practical at all. Then, it's a bag with a zipper enclosure opening, so it's easy to just fit a German Shepherd into something. Otherwise, at the moment with a cadaver bag, you need to just do acrobatics and flip him and pull, and it's just ridiculous. So with this product, it's super easy. You just open the bag and slide the body on top, and 3 movements, and ease inside. Plus, so it's very practical, saving time, and then you feel that you're protecting the dignity of that pet. You're just aligned with the rest of the care that we've been providing to this pet, and then you feel that you could show that. And then before that, that's what was making me feel uncomfortable, is I could not show what I was doing. And in vet med, everything you can show, everything makes sense. So that's what it is. Then also it's got some handles. You can grab the EUTHABAG and just bring the body into the cold storage without having to go get a stretcher and then clean up the stretcher, bring back the stretcher. We got enough things to do, so you just slide the body on top, flip flop flop, rear end, front end, and then zip to the freezer and goodbye. Plus, it's made with recycled material, so there's so much plastic on this planet, as you know, and then we put it in the recycle bin, but what are they going to do with that plastic? There's too much plastic that we can recycle at the moment, because there's too many kinds of plastic. So it's really hard to make something new with old plastic, other than fence posts or park benches. So my vision is that it's a great way to recycle plastic. You just make body bags with it, burn it in a crematorium. It's a source of energy and just a nice way to get rid of that plastic. So at the moment, we are at 30% of recycled material, and we're shifting into 50% of recycled material this year. We're testing that product in Canada just now, and I'm hoping to be providing a 70 or 80% recycled material body bag by 2030.
With tags and all.
And that's, yeah, plus you can write on that bag, so you don't ever lose track of one patient again, because I think every practice of run into that, where is Fluffy? They want her back. And then you're like, I can't find Fluffy. Open the garbage bags in the freezer, nightmare. So you can identify with a marker on the ID zone. And also people can decorate the bag and have some kind of a ritual and feeling that they're following their beloved pet through the next step through the journey. Basically, I think that's what it is.
That's awesome. Well, as we were talking here, Celine did show it on the screen, so I do recommend everybody go and check it. What's the website?
It's euthabag.ca.
Excellent. So yeah, so I do recommend. So fabulous features. It's interesting. I'm just looking at Sean and thinking, like, he never heard this set of problems before. He's not for things that you've been solving with your with your innovation in the industry. It's like there's a problem with claws sticking out through the back. Those are all very sensible things. So thank you for solving all of those problems. And as you were talking about this, I was just you deal a lot with the clinics and just in general communications around and education around the end of life. And I remember the story that happened in the hospital where I was. We hired a fairly young person to be a CSR, so worked in the reception area. And then this person heard the communication between the practice manager and the doctor, where the practice manager told the doctor that our freezer is full, so we need to call the person to pick up the bodies. And this new receptionist that was working there gets a call from the owner that says, I would like to euthanize my pet. And she said, unfortunately, we can't do it yet because our freezer is full. So that was power of education about end of life. So what do you find, and how do you engage with the teams and educate them on end of life procedures and a general sort of process around it?
So basically, the program I put together that is about 7 hour long, it's all pearls that I've developed doing so many mistakes, saying the wrong thing, or being afraid to just look natural, and sending the wrong message with my body to the family, being uncomfortable and making them feel that maybe they should feel uncomfortable because I'm uncomfortable, and then maybe they didn't take the right decision, la la. So it's all about the wording, about how to have a positive communication with the families. For example, for so many years I said, you're making the right decision. You're betraying your pet, and I'm just killing it for you. But that's fine. Instead of that, now you say, we are taking the right decision for this pet at this moment, and this is what we should do for it. So just being actually fighting that guilt that the families experience. That's really big. I find it's so sad to see these families feel terrible about that decision, where it's actually just an act of love and courage. So that the positive communication, nonverbal language as well. Oh, good. And also, what I find is really important is pre-euthanasia sedation. So again, for so many years, I figured it out. Nobody really told me what to do, what to use, where, how, where to inject. It's something super simple, but we were taught at vet school to just inject an encephalic in the front, and then after 10 years, I figured that just moving to the back of the animal and letting the pet owner in the front with his pet, talking to him and everything, it was just changing the game totally, because I'm with the vet tech in the back, I'm doing my things. They're not looking at me, and then things like that. So tips on how to inject and have less chances of getting a reaction from the pet, providing deeper levels of sedation so the animal doesn't have any reaction. There is a transition for the family between the pet is awake, I'm giving him sedation, and then I'm going to say he's dead. For years, it was just coming up all too fast. And then also educating people on aftercare. What is cremation? So for years, I was helping my clients to make decisions. I had never been to a crematorium. I had no idea what it looked like after. Did it come out from the chamber into ashes? Oh, no, actually, it's just a skeleton. And then we need to put in a blender to make him into ashes. Oh, okay. Like basic stuff. But it's one of the only topic that a vet will sell, make money on. And I had no idea what the process is. So I educate them on that as well. And also on alternate routes of injecting panto. Sometimes you just can't find any veins, and it's terrible. It's so stressful. But there are many other ways than going intravenous. So just providing them with tools. It's really like filling up their toolbox with tools when things are not going quite the right way, or what you thought it was going to be. So just that, and also providing families with some tools to make that decision. There are so many great quality of life questionnaires, pain scales, poems, books, and just helping vet teams kind of all wrap that for their clients, so they have less things to talk about and less stress during that last visit. Because there's so much that we talk about in that one euthanasia 40-minute or 20-minute appointment. We have to explain what it's going to look like, what's the sedation is going to do, what is it going to look like physically, what they're going to feel like. Do they want a cremation? Do they want a cremation private, group? Do you want to bury him? I mean, there's so much stuff that we put in that last appointment. So I'm trying to teach vet teams to just talk about it earlier, do some pre-euthanasia consultation. There was a study that was done in the UK where 60% of the clients that had just gone through a euthanasia with their pet would have liked to have a pre-euthanasia appointment before, to just set all of those details first, and then they come for euthanasia. That's all we do. It's plenty. So that's something I like to bring to the veterinary practices. And yeah, there's so much to talk about. At first when I had my idea about my body bag, I'm like, oh, I've got the great business, idea. Like, this is major. We can sell it throughout the world, millions of them. Wow. But then, like, but it's kind of depressing. It's gloomy and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll make money out of that maybe. And then it took me 24 hours, and I fell in love with just the mission of making euthanasia better, and for the pet, for the family, and for the vet teams as well. So I'm just very passionate about that topic, that even if I've been dedicating all of my time to it for the last 8 years, I still learn every day on how to make it better. That's so super.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of these topics that we've covered on the show that you wouldn't associate passion with, but it's pretty clear that you're pretty passionate about it. So, Celine, a question for you. If people are interested in buying your product, how do they do that? And who are your customers? Are they vet clinics? Are they Are they pet parents? Who are your customers?
Our customers are veterinary practices, mainly. About 70% of them are veterinary practices. Then we have about 20% of them that are crematoriums in the US, Canada, and France mainly. But we also sell to Singapore. We just started the Philippines as well. We're a little bit everywhere. So they can find, depending on the territory, in most countries, in local veterinary distributors. So in Canada, US, in all the different veterinary distributors. And also we're now on Amazon, just because some pet parents have heard of us and wanted to get the product. So they were calling us on the weekends to get the product the next day. So now it's on Amazon, just to make it easier for everybody.
This is fantastic. That's such a great story. So you've been doing this for 8 years.
I think so. Well, almost, yeah. I started in 2016. Yes.
So interesting.
And we sold about close to 2 million EUTHABAG so far. Yeah, so I feel that I made a difference in 2 million different people, handling a dead body.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's an interesting area of impact, and I think we had only another episode on something related to euthanasia, and end of life. So this is fantastic. Thank you for doing this for the industry. It's like one of those things that you never think about, or you're happy that people are passionate about. It's like, I'm happy that there are people passionate about ophthalmology and dermatology, because as an ER vet, I know nothing about that. Thank God for people that love that. So, well, we're at the end of the show, and we usually ask a couple questions at the end. Is there a book, TED Talk, a YouTube video, or any other recommendation to the listeners that could get inspired like you and do something similar, or do something great like you're doing?
Well, there is a great book that I'm reading at the moment. It's called Let My People Go Surfing. It's from Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia. He's been an amazing inspiration, and even more now that I'm reading the book, very aligned with values. And this is helpful as an entrepreneur to be guided by somebody else than yourself. Also, I'd like to mention I did a TEDx talk about the hidden face of veterinary medicine, just explaining to the public our struggle as veterinary professionals on providing excellent care with financial limitations, and just explaining to the public why veterinary care costs what it costs, and that it's actually super cheap for the quality that people get. So it's on YouTube. It's on yeah. Unfortunately, it's only in French, but you can get it subtitled, and it's on YouTube. You just type my name or the hidden face of veterinary medicine, and you'll find it easily.
We'll provide a link in the show notes as well. So I really appreciate that.
And then the last question for you is another innovator, somebody else you think we should have on the show.
Her name is Doreen. Doreen, I have a trouble saying her last name, Olijnik.
That's back in MySpace in the probably Eastern European, isn't it?
I would say so. She's the founder of WizVet. I believe she was one of the first ones to started providing short continuing education to vet professionals in a 15-minute format. And she was inspired by the TED Talks, actually. That's how she came up with that concept over about 10 years ago. So way before the whole industry started moving towards shorter.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryinnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.